What is good, people? I mean, other than God. We're on a Matthew chapter 4, and just based off the title, this is going to be a rough one. The death of John the Baptist. When Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee, heard about Jesus, he said to his advisors, "This must be John the Baptist, raised from the dead. That is why he can do such miracles." For Herod had arrested and imprisoned John as a favor to his wife, Herodias, the former wife of Herod's brother Philip. John had been telling Herod, "It is against God's law for you to marry her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of a riot because all the people believed John was a prophet. At a birthday party for Herodias' daughter performed a dance that greatly pleased him, so he promised with a vow to give her anything she wanted. At her mother's urging, the girl said, "I want the head of John the Baptist on a tray." Then the king regretted what he had said, but because of the vow he had made in front of his guests, he had issued the necessary orders, so John was beheaded in the prison, and his head was brought on a tray and given to the girl, who took it to her mother. Later, John's disciples came for his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus what had happened. Now we get part 2, a happier note. Jesus feeds 5,000. As soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed on foot from many towns. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. That evening the disciples came to him and said, "There's a remote place. It's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "This isn't necessary. You feed them." "But we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here," he said. Then he told the people to sit down on the grass. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up toward heaven, and blessed them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he gave the bread to the disciples, who distributed it to the people. They ate they all ate as much as they wanted, and afterward the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. About 5,000 men were fed that day, in addition to all the women and children. Now we get part 3. Jesus walks on water. Immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. And night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting having heavy way. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost." But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." And Peter called to him, "Lord, if it is really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed. After they had crossed the lake, they landed at No Shot. That's not happening. When the people recognized Jesus, the news of his arrival spread quickly throughout the whole area, and soon people were bringing all their sick to be healed. They begged him to let the sick touch at least the fringe of his robe, and all who touched him were healed. I mean, talk about a loaded chapter. It's ridiculous. I feel like half the iconic moments of Matthew happen in chapter 14. But let's get into it. The death of John the Baptist is an early example of Christian persecution, speaking out for God and for Jesus, being punishable even by death. It's just crazy to think that, well, obviously here in the U.S., nobody is being executed for their faith. This is still an issue that there are Christians out there who legally cannot worship God. I think it's crazy. But alas, let's move on. Jesus feeds 5,000. That's an interesting. It's so cool to see what happens when you just let God provide. The disciples said, told him to send the people off to go fend for themselves. And he was like, no, I am God. I will provide for my people. It's crazy. And what's even crazier is that God would do that for us. God will still do that for us to this day. Find a way. Now, providing for you does not necessarily mean giving you everything you want. I think this is best. This is an example of God acting as, God the Father, where it's like your parents, obviously, they feed you, they clothe you, everything like that. However, just because they give you what you need and not always what you want. So don't think that God is going to provide everything your heart desires, because that's probably not the case. Because you probably truly don't want everything your heart desires, honestly. And we get on to the last part of this chapter where he walks on water. This is freaking cool. I mean, be there and to witness something like that is just crazy. I mean, obviously, throughout the whole book of Matthew, Jesus has been doing miracle after miracle after miracle, just healing people left and right. I don't know, because he's God and he can. Like we just read about the feeding of the 5,000, but I think this is like, I'm not gonna lie, this is like a Jesus or a farm kind of moment. He's just casually chilling on top of the water, just like, what up, people? It's me. And then they think he's a ghost. I think that's funny. I think it's funny because, well, I'll get into that in a second. First, I want to talk about Peter's lack of faith. Well, first of all, it looks like he's going to have some just crazy faith out here when he's like, okay, well, if you say that you're God, just tell me to come out on the water and I'll come out there and you'll make me walk. Brother, what? Hey, literally anyone can say that they're Jesus. Doesn't mean it's true, but okay, I guess, this is, he was like, hey, you tell me you're Jesus, and I have full faith in you. But then, all of a sudden, he somehow thinks, this is a very confusing thought process to me. He has full faith in God to get him out of the boat and to get him start walking on the water. But however, he does not have faith in God to overcome the turbulence and the issues within the water. It's like he just flipped a 180, like in a matter of like seconds. Like, Peter, what are you doing? I feel like that's so representative of a lot of us during hard times. We're so faithful that we're willing to, we're willing to jump at anything that God gives us an opportunity to do. And then we experience a little bit of trouble and all of a sudden all that faith is gone. If you're only faithful when things are going good, you're not faithful. Some of us out there are very faithful until we need to be faithful. But then there's the other aspect of this when he's saying, why did you doubt me? Where it's like, where you can tell just how little faith has to do with evidence. Because this is Peter we're talking about, and the 12 disciples who immediately after this say, you really are the Son of God. The 12 disciples who've been with him the whole time as he has healed who knows how many people, so many that it was too many to include in the Bible, like the longest freaking book ever. They just witnessed him feed the 5,000. Like I said, they've seen him bring people back from the dead. And then they're like, oh, you can walk on God. You really are the Son of God. It's like, what? That was you didn't come to that conclusion like 200 miracles ago? It was this one? This was the miraculous moment that changed it all for you? Like, really? I don't know. Jesus was out here casting out demons left and right in front of him. Who knows? Maybe he is the Son of God, like he's been telling us the whole time. Maybe not. Who knows? You can walk on water. That's it. And I knew it. It's always been strange to me that that's the turning point. I feel like that if we're ranking things that Jesus has done, well, it's a cool moment. Like I said, it's just Jesus out there like aura farming. I feel like, in my opinion, it would be a lot more plausible for a regular human being to be able to manage to walk on water or appear to walk on water somehow than feed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, right? I feel like it would be more plausible for someone who is not God to walk on water than do that, or to heal sick people constantly, not like give them medicine, like doctor type healing. Like they begged him to let the sick touch at least the fringe of his robe, and all who touched him were healed. I feel like it's more plausible that someone who is not the Son of God could walk on water than someone who is not the Son of God can have a sick man just like bump into his robe and be completely healed. Like I said, it just shows how little faith has to do with evidence, because no one had more evidence that Jesus was who he says he was than the disciples. I mean, they were right there for everything. It was crazy. It was crazy. So if any of you out there are saying, I need a little bit more evidence, I need some more signs from God, then I'll believe, you know you won't. I think I said it. It was either in the last video, like a couple of, I forget when I said it. There's plenty of evidence. There's more than enough evidence to support the Bible and Jesus Christ being God and Jesus Christ being resurrected, you know. But if you don't believe, it's not because there's not enough evidence. It's because either God has not, you haven't gotten to that point in your life, or honestly, for most of you, you probably just don't want to. I've been said it before and I will say it again. The reality of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, it has a lot of very tough implications for a lot of people out there, and makes their lives a lot easier if he was just dead. I saw a video on TikTok the other day where it said every single person who has ever heard the name Jesus has one of three opinions. He was either a liar, lunatic, or he was Lord. Goes on to explain that some people believe he was a liar, that he was lying about being the Son of God, and everyone was lying about him being resurrected. He was a prophet, good guy, did a lot of cool things, but he was lying about being the Son of God. Or option 2, you think he was a lunatic. He genuinely believed the Son of God, and he was genuinely crazy for it. Or option 3, Jesus Christ was who he says he was. He is Lord, and he should be Lord of our lives. So before I pray, I just want to leave y'all with this little bit. Truly think, which of those 3 L's, liar, lunatic, or Lord, which of those 3 is your true opinion of Christ? And with that, I'm going to pray. Dear God, I come to you and I want to thank you, Lord, for the insane miracles you have done in all of our lives. Obviously, we're all being made more aware, but are aware of the miracles that are featured in the Bible, like we just read today with the feeding of the 5,000. But I want I want to thank you for all of the people who have beaten cancer, thanks to you, all of the, near death experiences that people have survived, all the injuries people have gotten past, everything like that. Things that get credited to modern science, but and are honestly, truly all because of you, Lord. Pray for those out there who are not accepting you and your Son for whatever reason. The truth is not in their heart, and they don't have their faith in you. I pray for all of us out there who do call ourselves Christians and say that we do have our faith in you, that it's not just in the easy times, it's not just when everything's going good, that even when it's time to be faithful and that we have some faith. God, I pray that everyone out there, maybe if not today, but at some point before they leave this earth, God, will have the opinion of your Son, that he was not a liar or a lunatic, but that he was Lord. And in your name I pray, God. Amen. Thank you for your time.